101 on Wednesday, October 3rd. Oklahoma State Student Radio, KXUY, 7:12 live on Alabama's going to probably football table this weekend. Iowa State hasn't won until 2000. Back up some ball like that, maybe 35 balls, it's bound to not happen. But I don't. Welcome into One-on-One OSU Student Radio, KXUY, Suddenlink Channel 112. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosier, as always. And every Wednesday, the OSU insider Robert Allen. We're condensing everything that you've got for us into the top half of the show today, Robert.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I have an engagement I have to make, so we'll just leave it at that.
They're coming off a win against Kansas, 48-28 up in Lawrence, an 11 o'clock kickoff. We made probably too much of that. Did we? Did we make too much of that 11 o'clock kickoff?
No, you know what, on the road, if you're the road team, you want to play at 11 o'clock. I guarantee you, these kids and these coaches, when they get an 11 o'clock kick, which, by the way, a week from now in Manhattan, they get another 11 o'clock kickoff, and I'll tell you why. They don't mind waking up early. You get the game over with. You don't have to wait all day. You don't have to hear the coaches barking all day about what you didn't do wrong or what you didn't do right last week and what you better not get wrong today. You just get to go play ball. And you get back on the airplane, you fly home, and you actually have a free evening, coaches and players. So, yeah, 11 o'clock kickoffs. In fact, I think I can attribute this to about half the coaching staff. 11 o'clock kickoffs on the road are gold. Gold. Better than Fort Knox.
And it's good because once the day's over, I can watch college football at the night games.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, this week, you get to watch that showdown in Blacksburg with Notre Dame and Virginia Tech.
Notre Dame's going down. You heard it right here, Robert.
Really?
It's a bold prediction,
The same team that lost to Old Dominion on the road is going to get the Irish at home. Huh?
Brian Kelly's going to get shaken going into Blacksburg.
Okay.
I'm not high on Brian Kelly.
You know what? I'm for you. I'm not Catholic, and gold isn't my favorite color. And I got to know. In fact, there's a couple of former Cowboy players that, former player and a former Cowboy assistant coach that are on the Virginia Tech staff. Plus, I think Justin Fuente's a good dude. So, hey, go Hokies.
Yeah, he's from the area. And thank you for coming in today, by the way, off that. I have to do it. That Cubs loss. I'm sorry, but thank you for coming in.
It was tough, but here's the thing: I kind of knew what we were going into because even though that's a good-looking lineup on paper, it has been somewhat anemic and reliant on home runs in August and September, and they didn't get any home runs, and it's just been a struggle. I think, and we'll keep the baseball conversation short, although we do have a member of our crew that's dressed in Yankee gear from head to toe. So he is definitely for the Yankees and not for the Oakland Athletics. But I do think Theo Epstein is going to be a player this year in the Hot Stove League. And I think you'll see some changes to the Cubs. And the worst one, because I love him, I would not be surprised if Kyle Schwarber is no longer a Cub next year.
That's
a possibility.
I think there's some major financial shakeup coming to Major League Baseball. But let's go up to Lawrence on Saturday. Taylor Cornelius threw it deep a lot Saturday. Now, with all due respect to the Jayhawks, I think anyone on this crew could probably go throw it deep on the Jayhawks. They probably have the worst secondary. I'm going Dana Holgerson bad, like he calls it the Rutgers effect when you look at their stat sheet. Their secondary is not very good.
Which, by the way, they get West Virginia this week.
Yeah.
So it might get worse for them. But you know what? They're beat up in the secondary. They had a corner, Hassan defense, that had to move over to safety. They were playing a true freshman at one of the corners. But you could also say, well, what about Oklahoma State? They lost the sixth leading receiver in school history, Jalen McCleskey, that left and had some injuries and all that. I think the biggest factor Saturday, whether it was in the passing game or the offense in general, was establishing Justice Hill and getting the offensive line to start making some blocks in the run game and giving him an opportunity. That if you can get Justice Hill untracked, this offense, any offense is going to go when you get that done.
The question is about that O-line, though, is it going to be able to be consistent enough to get Justice those opportunities? Because he kind of had to do some work in the backfield a couple times on some of his 31 carries, which I love seeing him get the ball that much. But I guess my question is, are they going to be consistent enough going forward to give Justice those kind of opportunities?
Well, the thing you got to say for the offensive line a little bit as we see Justice against Texas Tech, and now we see him against Boise State, is they were makeshift last week. I mean, you didn't know Tevin Jenkins was going to play until almost game time, and he ended up not only playing, but when Arlington Hambright got hurt, he shifted over to the left tackle, and I can guarantee you, he has not worked much at left tackle, if any, this season. And he moved over there and did a nice job. I thought the guys inside did a good job. It wasn't perfect, but it was certainly an improvement. And let me tell you, the guy that kind of gets, you need to give him a little extra credit check mark here. Jelani Woods had a huge block on the 10-yard touchdown run. And he had another big block that cleared Justice and sealed the edge on one of the bigger runs earlier in the first quarter. If Jelani Woods continues blocking like that and adds to that offensive line, boy, that's a big factor because he's a big man. He's 6'8", 265 pounds, and he can move a little bit.
Yeah, I was listening to you earlier when you were talking to Jelani about he's so big that he didn't ever have to work on that technique. And when he was in middle school,
he just hugged guys when he was little.
I mean, he's massive, so he just took care of people.
You know what? I bet he was that guy when he was younger that he just walked up to him and said, "Get down," and they just, "Okay, I'll get down."
Yes, sir.
Because I mean, he is a big, giant man, but he's mobile, and even though he's a former quarterback, he did play tight end growing up, so this isn't his first rodeo. It is at this level, and that's pretty serious. But I'm with you. I mean, I think if he continues to play that way and add to that offensive line, that's a big X factor.
Yeah, and kind of going back to Justice, is the plan going forward to give him not 31 carries every game, but kind of let him carry the load more? Are they done saving him?
Well, I mean, I think week to week, and here's the other thing. I think if a team decides they're going to stop Justice Hill no matter what, which I think Texas Tech kind of went that way early, then you got to do what the defense is going to give you. You got to take what they're going to give you. But yeah, I think if all things are equal, and what you've got this week with Iowa State, and I know we don't want to get ahead necessarily, but it fits. Kansas, their defensive coordinator really copied what Iowa State's been doing. Iowa State's been pretty good against the spread. They did a good job of shutting Texas Tech down the last 2 years, and so some of the defenses in the Big 12 are copying what John Heacock at Iowa State's doing. So now you've got a defense that rushes 3, drops 8. Kansas copied that. You saw it last week. Now you get carryover and working for Iowa State this week, and unless they change their stripes, which they could, Kansas did, during the game, they started to bring those guys up, and when they did, like Reed said, Taylor Cornelius had a lot of success going over their head. So if you can get that going, the difference is, and I know we're talking more Iowa State instead of reviewing the Kansas game, but Iowa State's got 2 really good corners in Peavy, Brian Peavy, and DeAndre Payne. They're going to leave those guys on an island, so it's going to be a little bit harder, I think, against them than it was Kansas. There you see those numbers, and they were obviously really good.
When you look at what they were able to do in going deep, and I know we talked about the secondary, but 568 total yards offense, they kind of got back to almost what Oklahoma State's been able to do. And Taylor Cornelius, that one interception he threw, they were going deep on that one. It seemed like every time those guys got open. Now I want to focus on not so much on how they replaced Jalen McCleskey, but what Landon Wolf was able to do on Saturday, because he was beating guys bad.
He was a track guy at Tulsa East Central. Landon was. He's got speed. Then you combine the fact that I think one of the reasons Jalen left was he didn't feel he was getting to run enough vertical routes. So now you've got a Mike Gundy message being sent to the McCleskey family. Really? We're not going to run the vertical routes with the slot. Oh, watch this. And when he scored that deep 42-yard touchdown on his first touchdown catch, I even said in the ear of Dave Hunziker and John Holcomb, I said, guys, that's a message sent to New Orleans. I'm sure it was received because Tulane had played the night before. So I'm sure the McCleskeys were watching. And not that I have any, again, we got into this last week. I like Jalen. I like his dad. They're good people. They didn't go out making comments about OSU. They were complimentary. They're not doing interviews. He just wants Jalen at another school to do maybe something else that'll be attractive to the NFL. So that said, the answer to your question is, I think you're going to continue to see this. And now, think about this, guys. When Dylan Stoner's back, that's going to make this stronger because go back in your mind and think, what was Dylan Stoner adding to the offense before he got hurt? Well, he was making some incredible catches, and maybe up until, unless you want to pick a play from the Kansas game, the signature play this year on offense was his catch and run against Boise State. I mean, it was played over and over again on ESPN that day. So when you bring Dylan Stoner back, now you're going to get to see Braden Johnson, who's really fast. And if Taylor had gotten him the ball, he'd have scored that series instead of the next play. It went to Tyron, same deep route. So he's capable, and I think L.C. Greenwood's another one that's capable. And I'm going to go back to the Cowboy back, because I think you're going to start seeing more opportunities for Jelani Woods. He had the pass interference penalty in the end zone.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, if a guy's grabbing your arm, you can shake him off. You got it?
That was an awful
call.
But
I think I can see this thing starting to come together. Here's the thing I hope happens, so we don't have a bunch of bickering and infighting with OSU fans. Because, I mean, let's be honest. What's the bickering and infighting topic been?
Quarterback.
Cornelius.
Exactly, Cornelius. All right, if all these things stay strong, Justice Hill and the Justice League of running backs, the receivers make up for McCleskey, and Wolf continues to do well, and Taylor just continues to get the ball to the hot hands, then we won't have any more bickering and infighting. Which, believe it or not, even though I do radio talk, I really rather not have any more of that.
Yeah.
It's somewhat frustrating, but that's all going to depend on the kids. They're going to have to get it done.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we should give credit to Taylor Cornelius too, as they kept going back to that deep ball. Granted, it was working, but he missed a couple times, and he just went back at it. And getting that comfort level for him, at least for me, I would think is important going into these really tough conference games. Iowa State's 1-3. They have one of the better defenses in the Big 12. They're going to start playing some really, really good teams, not only in this conference, but some of the best in the country. So for him to get that comfort level up and that confidence was important for me to see Saturday.
Yeah, and I agree with you for the most part, but boy, when you start picking apart even the top teams in the Big 12, defense is probably the better side of the ball for most of them. Iowa State being a good example, but then you have the reverse with the team probably everybody feels is the top in the league. Oklahoma's got an explosive offense, and Kyler Murray is just going great guns. Sooners are 98th in total defense in the nation. That's well, I mean, that's what Kirk Herbstreit and all those guys have griped about over the years. You know, Joey Galloway and all those guys saying they don't play any defense in the Big 12. I would say no. There are some teams playing pretty good defense right now, and there's one really good one on offense that's not playing much at all. So makes the game Saturday interesting because Texas is one of those teams playing pretty good defense. Do you realize, I mean, K-State, if it was just offensive points, K-State wins the game in Manhattan last week because Texas got the safety and a 90-yard punt return. So there you go.
Really quickly before we get a break, OU, Texas. Just a quick prediction.
I'd pick OU. I mean, you know, yeah, you got to. I mean, unless OU goes to sleep on offense, I think they'll still be able to score enough points to win the game because I just don't have a lot of faith in Ehlinger. You know, people around here have griped some about Taylor Cornelius. What do you think they're saying in Austin about Ehlinger? I mean, he's average.
Oh, I'm pulling for the Longhorns Saturday. That's
well,
just
you can
who
pull
I am.
for whoever you want.
No, but it's going to be tough
I
to
didn't
stop
say I
Kyler
was
Murray.
pulling for OU. I just said I think OU will win.
Right, and it's going to be tough to stop Kyler Murray. But we do have to take a quick break. We'll be right back on
Don't get me to be
one-on-one.
a Sooner lover. I'm not that guy.
We'll be right back on one-on-one. OSU Student Radio, KXUY, Sunlink Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back. One-on-one.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cast for Crazy to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares. what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to One on One on Ocean Student Radio KXUI, Sunlink Channel 112. I am Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosier, and also Robert Allen, the OSU Insider. We're going to break down Iowa State.
Okay, let's real quick, but can we do just a brief minute of role reversal?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the sacks? I mean, OSU has been at times a good defense. You can go back to Leslie O'Neal when you guys were a gleam in your grandparents' eye. Leslie O'Neal, John Washington, those guys. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing right now on the sacks, the students enjoying the sacks?
Absolutely.
Well, we most people probably don't realize what a jump it's been.
Yeah.
To lead the nation in sacks at 24. What did they have, 30 all of last year?
Yeah.
They're 6 away, not even halfway through the season. If you want to, I know this 4-2-5, that Texas Tech game was not great, but to jump back and do what they've done, it's fun to watch. It's very fun to watch.
Yeah. Sacks are an underrated play. I mean, you'd rather have a turnover, but God, to see the other team's quarterback get belted, it's always a cool thing.
And Jordan Brailford's tied for the lead in the country?
7.
Yeah,
right?
he's technically he's tied for the number, but there's a guy from Louisiana Tech, and they've played one less game that has 6. Mm-hmm. So they go by average per game. It's Jalen Ferguson is the leader, but the Tillery kid at Notre Dame and Jordan are tied with 7 in second. And, everybody's taught. Here's the funny thing. You can't go anywhere without hearing Tillery on ESPN or what a great season he's having. Wake up, guys. Jordan Brailford's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be good Saturday. I know Iowa State's 1-3. They haven't been blown out. Their first game was canceled. They kept it close with OU up in Ames. A 2:30 kick in Boone Pickens. They're playing another good running back for Puka Williams. Is probably not as good as David Montgomery, but Montgomery's a little banged up. Do you know what his status is for Saturday?
They're saying game time decision, and I thought it was very open and honest of Matt Campbell, their head coach, this week when he said that David Montgomery got hurt in the first game, the one that was weathered out. That first drive, Iowa State actually went down and scored a touchdown before Mother Nature called the game. And he got hurt early against South Dakota State. And he's been playing banged up. And then probably the worst injury, it's a upper arm shoulder injury against TCU in the fourth quarter. So, but the amazing thing is, without sacks, they've got 104 rushing attempts. He has 87 of them. I mean, so you take him, if he's even compromised a little bit, that's going to hurt them. And that's an offense that has not been very good, guys.
Yeah, and last week we saw the defense. They had 9 tackles for a loss against Kansas. Are you going for more against Iowa State or less?
Well, Iowa State's offensive line is one of their trouble spots. I mean, whenever you see a troubled offense, more than likely the line's not very good. I think if you're Jim Knowles and as Oklahoma State people get to know Jim Knowles better, Jim Knowles is the guy at the poker table. If he thinks he has a chance at all, takes his hands and pushes it all in. So, I think he'll get crazy. I think he'll get aggressive if he can on Saturday against Iowa State.
So this is an interesting thing. They're 38-11 in Boone Pickens since 2011. 4 of those losses have come last year and this year. Is there something behind that? I mean, I don't think that there is, but you don't want to lose 4 games, especially last year. You're favored 3 times at home and you lose those 3 games. You're favored here by 15 and you lose at home. Is there anything that do they think about that?
I think they are. I mean, if you judge Mike Gundy's news conference this week when he was asked about it, and he said, I don't have an answer. If somebody does, please come see me. And if I did, I would be real quick to try and correct it. I think you have to go back to each game. I go back to the TCU game last year, and no one wants to hear excuses. But in this business, you have to decide what's real and what's not. That week in practice, you had the injury. I think that was the injury with Williams. You already had a tackle that was out. So you had the right side of your offensive line wiped out before you played TCU. They were really motivated. If you remember, Gary Patterson's team had not won in Stillwater. It was bugging the you-know-what out of him. And so they came in with a good plan and won. I kind of put that on the coaches. I thought they outcoached Oklahoma State. That sounds familiar. It happened earlier this year. And then the OU game, I mean, that was a knockdown drag-out, and we all, OU's talented, and you had the Heisman Trophy winner. He went off. Mason went off, and they went off just a little bit more. The K-State game is the one that, wow.
Yeah.
You let a third-team quarterback, I think he was third-team, Skylar Thompson, just go crazy, and you came back, but not enough. And then you go to the game this year with Texas Tech, and I think you go back to that TCU game a year ago. You're playing a very motivated opponent, and they came in with a really good plan. And so, again, at the end of the day, out of those four, one of them just really doesn't – you just can't buy it. The other three, they're plausible. Yeah. Now, at home, for a team that's been so stellar on the road – at home to lose those, I'm with you, and I'm kind of with Mike Gundy. Wow. I mean, let's figure this out.
Yeah, and I made a big deal about, everyone made a big deal about the streaks with Texas Tech. Iowa State hasn't won here since 2000. You want to keep it going.
I'm not talking about it. Streaks, just go win Saturday.
But Iowa State's had a rough start to the season. They're
Yes.
1-3. And motivation,
They're not Texas Tech.
No, they're not. They've struggled offensively, but a lot of credit to that defense and a lot of credit to Matt Campbell, because although they are 1-3, people don't look down at Iowa State quite like they did for forever. Really, they have never really been good. Matt Campbell shows up, and I think he's going to do a good job at turning the program around eventually. I don't think you can ever be an elite program at Iowa State, but people probably said that about Oklahoma State, and look what Mike Gundy's done. They're on the national stage all the time, and they're well respected. So when you're going up against Matt Campbell and a 1-3 team, and you're Mike Gundy, where are you going to attack this team? I know you talked about the offensive line, but as a whole, what is their weakness?
Their linebackers are not as good as they were a year ago when they had Lanning. You know, he went to Dallas to the Cowboys, and I don't think he may be on their practice squad. But, Lanning was a huge leader. It turned out he was a better linebacker than he was a quarterback. He wasn't a bad quarterback. So they've been wiped out at linebacker. Like I said, they've got a good nose tackle in Ray Lima. They've got good corners, and their safeties are okay. But the heart of their defense. So, I mean, I think you got to run Justice Hill and the other guys there, J.D. King and Chuba Hubbard. By the way, got to make a comment on Chuba. The hurdle was awesome. Now, I wish the officials, because I didn't really notice it until Sunday or Monday, he got targeted.
Yeah.
I mean, now as if Kansas needed something else to go wrong for him, but the guy targeted him. I mean, but Chuba is, let me tell you something, Chuba's special. I mean, so is Justice, but God, it's fun to watch Chuba as well. But I think you've got to run the running backs, and then I think with that hole in the middle, the safeties aren't quite as good, and the linebackers are not as good as they were. That cries for Landon Wolf, the slot receivers, and it cries for you run a just simple drag with Jelani Woods and say, Jelani, catch this, and then just see what he does afterwards. Because I want to see how hard it is for a group of defenders to try and pull him down when he gets a little bit of a head start. I mean, that's a train I don't want to get in front of.
No, probably not.
You mentioned Justice Hill. How many carries are you expecting? Because that seems to be a game we play every week. How many carries is Justice going to get? More than 20?
Yeah, and Gundy said 15 average at the beginning of the year, and he's actually averaging 15 right now. I think it's more like 20.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him get 20 to 25. I'd like to see the other three running backs together get 15 to 20, and then I'd like to see about 5 for
Cornelius.
What's that at? That's about 50 runs. If you run, how many times they passed last week? 20?
Yeah.
If you run in conference, let's say you average 75 to 80 plays, and you run it, 45 to 50, and you throw it 25 to 30, those are probably pretty good numbers for this offense. I don't think you need to be throwing it as many as they did last year with Mason, especially when Taylor can run and you've got these running backs. I'm looking at more of a 60-40 mix run to pass.
Yeah, and possessions were about even last week, which kind of, when you looked at that Texas Tech game, that defense was on the field almost 42 minutes, I think it was.
Yep.
So the possessions were easier. They passed 20 times, as you said, ran 46. Is the Justice League going to be in full swing Saturday?
Yeah, I think they should be. I mean, a home game too. We had a chance to talk to J.D. King this week. He's kind of the guy that's, if anything's a little slighted lately. But LD's been hurt. If you get all of them back together, sure. I mean, I want to see them all. Here's the other thing too. Iowa State, with that, we talked about linebacker weakness. Who covers backs out of the backfield generally? Linebackers. Well, I mean, I'm going to throw to the backs out of the backfield. I'm going to get the ball to J.D. King because he catches the ball really well. So does Justice. If LD's playing, he does too. I think Chuba's good at it as well. But J.D.'s a guy that I think's maybe the best receiver out of the backfield from the running back. So that's another way to get him the ball. And there again, he's not as big as Jelani, but as hard as he runs, that's another guy I don't want to get in front of.
Yeah, Saturday you looked at the turn. Jordan Brailford just took the ball away from a guy. Seb Nolan's only turned it over once, one interception. Iowa State, they don't make a ton of mistakes. No. They're not great offensively, but they're relatively disciplined. How do you force Seb Nolan into making a mistake Saturday?
Well, he hadn't seen this defense. And this defense it's a little bit different cat to deal with. So he's got a big learning curve this week, and it'll be interesting because I think we're to the point where Jim Knowles is starting to use some disguises and play some tricks on quarterbacks. The other thing, too, is you mentioned taking the ball away. If David Montgomery doesn't play and the other running backs do, how good is their ball security? I know David Montgomery doesn't fumble, but how good are these other guys? Let's see.
It will be interesting. So it's a game out at Boone Pickens Stadium at 2:30. We've logged a lot of home games so far in the season, but if you look at the record, it's good that the Cowboys are going to be on the road, I guess, because they don't do anything but win on the road.
Yeah, the thing is, Texas comes here, so, and you think they're not looking for revenge?
Yeah, revenge.
That was a tough game for them to lose last year.
Yeah.
So,
Man,
there's still some more fun to be had, and West Virginia comes here.
It's
always fun to have Dana back home.
We still have a lot of fun, a lot of shows to do, Robert, but we will see you next Wednesday. Thank you for coming in.
Guys, take care.
We will be right back on One-on-One, OSU Student Radio, KXUY, Sunlink, Channel 112.
One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back into One-on-One, OSU Student Radio, KXUY, Sunlink Channel 112. Thank you to OSU Insider Robert Allen for coming in. We always enjoy him. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosier. Logan, what are your keys to the game on Saturday as we're looking at Justice score against Texas Tech? One of the few times they got in the, or 2 times, that they got in the end zone. They bounced back against, albeit Kansas, another 1-3 Big 12 opponent coming to Stillwater on Saturday. But I have a lot of respect for Matt Campbell and Iowa State. Oklahoma State fans are not okay with Iowa State.
Yep.
They broke my heart, and they broke everyone in here's heart in 2011. I will never, ever like Iowa State. For me, the hate for in the Big 12 is OU, Iowa State, and Texas.
Is that your short list? That's your top 3?
Yeah, I don't like anyone else, but I can tolerate them. Those 3, I don't tolerate.
I'm surprised you hate Iowa State more than you hate Baylor, but
Baylor's never kept us from a national championship.
That's true. But keys to the game. Number 1 was that guy, Justice Hill. Get him the ball and run it a lot. And then on defense, I think it's going to be limiting Hakeem Butler. Their running game, it's all on one guy. We were talking about that with Robert. But Hakeem Butler has 3 of their 4 passing touchdowns, and I think he leads the team in receiving yards. You got to keep him under control if you're going to come out with a win on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he's their best receiver.
Yeah.
But Zeb Nolan is not a guy who's going to light it up through the air. You hope not.
Yeah.
You don't want it to start here. But they've had some trouble at the quarterback position. As Robert's talking about, last year, their guy that started the game against us was playing linebacker. He was doing double duty. I mean, that's not going to happen on Saturday. But Zeb Nolan is not a guy that you look at the stat sheet or tape and go, oh. Like, you look at Will Grier, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare scenario. Zeb Nolan's not a nightmare scenario. David Montgomery is. But the guys that create holes for him, their offensive line, is not great. And David Montgomery is hurt right now or banged up. We don't know the extent of his injury. As Robert said, it's a game-time decision. You never want a guy to miss a game. If he's out of the game, that changes everything for Iowa State.
Yeah.
So he's got to be in the game for Iowa State to be successful Saturday.
Let me ask you something. I wanted to ask you and Robert about this, but he had to head out. What did you think of special teams last week? That kind of, I think that's the most fun thing to listen to you talk about. So what's your grade for special teams?
My grade for Jarrett Bernard had probably the worst 30 seconds that anyone's had this season. I mean, the botched block punt, he was 3 steps late. I mean, it wasn't even close. They had to throw the flag, and then he gets burned the next play to give up a touchdown. That kind of changed a lot in the game, especially the momentum that Oklahoma State had, because they were going to go down and score. Kansas couldn't stop what Oklahoma State was doing at the time. Then that happens. They get the ball back, and Gundy does as he always does and won't go down and score right before halftime. That might have been the smart decision. But Puka Williams comes out and scores right out of halftime. Mm-hmm. It got a little bit iffy there for a second. And when I say iffy, that's an 11-point lead over Kansas. That is iffy because they are the Kansas Jayhawks. Special teams is not good. Zach Seiner is punting well, as you would expect. Well, you never want to talk about the success of your punter. That's just, you don't want him to be on the field.
Right.
He wasn't on the field a ton Saturday, but when he has been, he's punted well. But Jarrett Bernard that was a bad stretch for him. And he has been one of the best players in the secondary for Oklahoma State this year. So that's not on Jarrett Bernard. He made a mistake, but their special teams, as always, is just kind of, what's going on here? That's all you can say.
Well, what's going on is we don't have a special teams coordinator. That could be part of it. But
Amendola didn't miss a kick on Saturday, so that was nice.
That's true.
So Seiner and Amendola, the kickoffs were all right, but they had a big penalty that led to a touchdown. You don't want to see those mistakes, especially when you get into these games against West Virginia and OU and Texas, and even Saturday against Iowa State, don't make those type of mistakes, because although Kansas didn't make you pay, those teams will.
Yeah. I think, what was it, 8 penalties for 92 yards?
Yes.
A lot of them were pass interference.
First of all, let's get something out of the way for the Big 12 refs. That's not offensive pass interference. And if you think it is, go back to ref school or wherever you learn something, because in no way, no game at any level is that an offensive pass interference on Jelani Woods. What? I mean, good. Why? What? Put the flag back in your pocket. If anything, it was defensive pass interference. What a joke of a call. And that Oklahoma State was 6 inches from scoring. I don't know why they passed her in the first place. Justice Hill should have 32 carries, that being another touchdown. That's not what they did. That's why they don't pay me to make the play calls. But they decide to throw, and then you get 2 penalties, and you're back at the 15.
Yeah.
But that was the worst, one of the worst calls I have ever seen from a ref. And you know I love critiquing referees.
I do. That's kind of why I threw that out there. I wanted to get you going. But you want to jump into the rest of college football?
I do want to jump into the rest of college. Let's go back to last week.
Okay.
Let's criticize some more people.
All right.
James Franklin, 4th and 5. The game is on the line against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And you run a delayed handoff? How much money does he make a year? That's what you came up with? I was sitting in my recliner at home, and I could have thought of a better... Seriously, everyone on this crew could have stopped that play. That had zero chance of success. Zero. Why would you do that? It cost them the game.
Yeah.
They lost on that. And I'm not saying that if they convert, they go down and score. But
they lost because they didn't.
The odds drastically shift in their favor if they convert that, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and that's...
What are you doing?
I have no answers for that. Like,
no one does.
Yeah.
They're actually putting up lost posters in Happy Valley for their quarterback, Trace McSorley, because he should have thrown. They're like, oh, well, he's lost. Let's create a poster to find him. Hopefully they find him this week, because that was bad. As they lost 27-26 to Ohio State. I mean, you get paid $6 million a year, and that's the play call you come up with. And then he has the gall to go after the game and say, we're a good program. We're not great yet. We're going to be great. We're going to make sure we're great after this. Well, as long as you're making those play calls and times like that, that's not
going to be good.
That's not going to be great.
Who else you want to criticize? Who else you want to go through and nitpick at?
I was kind of disappointed to see Mississippi State not beat their old coach in Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
Because Dan Mullen, they got beat by Kentucky the week before. Maybe they were looking ahead to beating their old coach, because everyone on that team, Dan Mullen recruited. Mm-hmm. He knows those guys. He went into their homes and talked to their parents. That's personal. So I thought, with it being that game and him coming back to Mississippi State, the Florida kids I didn't think had that much to play for, as opposed to what Mississippi State did. But it was a low-scoring game, 13-6. I really thought that Mississippi State would beat Florida.
In that kind of situation, I think it's almost the emotion got too much of them. There was too much emotion in there, and that can be a hindrance as much as it can be like a benefit in those kind of games. So that's kind of what I think what happened there.
Yeah, number 8 Notre Dame took care of number 7 Stanford. And we talked about how Stanford struggled with Oregon last week. They probably shouldn't have won that game. Oregon should not have let them come back from that much and then lost in overtime. But Stanford went out to South Bend. Maybe the 2 big road games in a row got to them. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. But I don't think Stanford was number 7 anyways. I didn't think that they were that good, and they kind of proved. Now, I don't want to jump ahead because we're in our last segment. We're going to talk about the games this week.
Okay.
But Notre Dame, as I said earlier, they go into Blacksburg and they lose Saturday night.
That's I don't know if I can get behind that. You said that to Robert, and I don't see it. Virginia Tech lost to Old Dominion, Reed.
They went in they beat Duke.
Okay.
Duke was good.
Is Duke a football school?
They are now.
Are they?
Well, they were 22 in the country. No, Duke had no chance.
Yeah.
They'll end up in the Liberty Bowl, and they'll get T-shirts, and it'll be great. They'll finish 8-4 probably, or 7-5. It'd be nice for Duke. David Cutcliffe is a good coach. He's getting up there, but offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning back in 1998. They ended up winning a national championship after he left to Tennessee. David Cutcliffe is a good offensive mind. But no, Duke's not a football school.
Yeah, so I just don't value that, you know. I know they were a ranked team, but I just can't. I can't agree with you on that.
I think that Virginia Tech is sneaky one of the best home field advantages in college football. A nighttime game in Blacksburg, they get crazy. It's loud. They have one of the best intros in college football. Brian Kelly's not an elite coach. Hot take, if you want to call it that.
Okay, Reed.
What has Brian Kelly done when he's been on the big stage? Yeah, they beat Stanford. Stanford's not that great. What has he done on the big stage? When he got to a national championship game, it was laughable. It was over in 5 minutes. Manti Te'o's girlfriend was more real than Notre Dame that night. She doesn't exist. That was a fake. Do you like that?
Yeah.
She didn't exist. Okay, that's how bad he is on the big stage.
You look at his wins so far. He beat Michigan opening week. I know you're not so high on Michigan. I am.
They went to Northwestern. What is Northwestern's not anything but an academic school.
I wasn't even talking about that.
But you're talking about Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan went into Northwestern and had to come back from 17 points.
And they did. They've gotten better each week, is my point.
How do you get better when you go to Northwestern, who's won one game? How is that getting better?
It's just the overall play. Their quarterback is getting more into the flow of things. Trust me, Reed. Michigan's going to beat Ohio State this year and Michigan State. That's my hot take.
Timeout.
That's my hot take.
Timeout. Stop.
Okay.
You're saying that Jim Harbaugh, who is 1-7 against his biggest rivals, is going to beat Dwayne Haskins in Ohio State, Dobbins, and all those guys in the big house, might I add.
Yes. Reed, I predicted this to start the year, and I'm sticking to it. This is the year they turned around, and Jim Harbaugh is going to make some big noise in Michigan.
And turn around, you mean not going to the Outback Bowl and going to the Cotton Bowl? What?
They're going to be playing in the Big Ten championship game. I'm serious. I'm serious, Reed.
So they're going to beat...
You're laughing at me right now.
They're going to beat Penn State, Michigan State, and Ohio State?
Yes.
That might be the worst thing you've ever said.
Well, we have it on tape, so if it is, we can play it later.
You take my Texas take from week 1, saying which they might still do it. I don't know that they go. Texas has a better chance of making the Big 12 championship game than Michigan does the Big 10 championship game. Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan State. He's 1-7 against Michigan State and Ohio State. What?
I just feel it. It's a gut feeling.
They beat Northwestern by 3.
That's not what changed my mind.
It should have.
No.
They are not progressing that much week over week.
All right, we got it on tape, so at the end of the season, one of us will be laughing.
It will be me.
Well, hopefully not.
Kentucky, impressive so far. I've had to issue a couple public apologies to Alexis because
you're gonna have to keep publishing.
Kentucky doesn't go into College Station and win.
What'd you say last week?
I said they wouldn't beat. Who'd they play last week? South Carolina.
What'd you say the week before that?
I said they wouldn't win.
Oh, huh.
So
it's weird.
I've only said that twice. Now, Kentucky, we'll relate them to Duke. Are they a football school?
They are now.
No, they're not. They're 13th in the country, but Kentucky is not a football school. Not
Traditionally,
even close.
no.
Traditionally, no. They go into one of the toughest environments in college football. They lose
College
this
Station.
Weekend. They 5-1. Give them credit so far, though. So we do have to take a quick break before we come back and break down this week's games and, maybe a prediction for Iowa State, Oklahoma State. We'll be right back on One-on-One, OSU Student Radio, KXOI, Suddenlink, Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They're also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to One on One OSU Student Radio, KXUY, Sunlink Channel 112. As you see there, AJ Green making that phenomenal interception, one of the few highlights against Texas Tech. We're going to start there, and we'll break it down some more Friday on our show.
Yep.
But really quickly, does Iowa State come into Stillwater and pull off the upset?
No. If it were in Ames, that's a different story. But in Stillwater, I'm counting on the home field advantage. And I think they're gonna be feeling pretty good. I don't think they're gonna be too high on themselves after that win against Kansas, because it's Kansas. But I thought it was a good bounce back win from that loss against Texas Tech. So I think they're gonna come in and take care of business. What about you?
It's kind of hard to say. I think once you see the first 5 minutes of the game, you're gonna know.
Yeah.
Because both of these teams stick. Oklahoma State sticks with whether it works or not. They seem to stick with it. I think if they can run the ball and get past the strength of Iowa State's defense, they'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be able to run the ball. The offensive line has to be near perfect Saturday. Iowa State's not going to score a lot of points.
Yeah,
but there's a good chance that we don't either.
I was about to say, their defense is kind of their strong suit, but
I'll take Oklahoma State.
Okay, let me ask you this though. I asked Robert, how many carries for Justice Hill for you to feel comfortable?
It's going for me to feel comfortable, 20.
Okay,
but it's not going to be anywhere close to that. Not after last week. 31 touches is too much for him.
I agree. So you think they're going to kind of scale it back, maybe like 15?
Yeah, you're going to see
that area.
You're going to see all four backs get involved this weekend. But I want to start in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Okay.
Does Fayetteville or does the University of Arkansas, do they show up Saturday? Do they hide? They're 35-point dogs to the University of Alabama.
Rightfully so.
Tide. Put your money on there because Arkansas is awful.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa can play 7 minutes Saturday and be up 28-0.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much money you'd have to put on the game to make money at minus 35.
More than we have combined.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think the whole school should hide, like you said, that Arkansas is not good at all. Alabama was 40-something. They were like 50-point favorites last week. They were almost there by halftime.
Yeah, and they didn't end up covering because and Alabama typically doesn't cover in games like this because they blow out. And Nick Saban does have respect for the opponent. Believe it or not, Nick Saban does respect other people. They usually don't cover. Yeah. I think they cover Saturday.
Like you said, Tua probably won't play all.
And
do you think he plays in 3 quarters?
Well, I mean, for Alabama, Jalen Hurts is going to come in the second quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, but as we talked about with Robert for a second, when you are the laughingstock basically and no one gives you a chance, maybe Arkansas does show up. Maybe they have no chance at winning. No chance at winning. None. But maybe they make it a game in the first half. Maybe. But they're going to have to play their best football to even make it a game for a half.
I don't even think they can do that.
Prayers up for the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
We talked about Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Now let's go down to the Swamp, another SEC matchup. LSU, Coach O, going to give us pregame speech that we wouldn't be able to understand, but it would get us
great.
going.
Yep.
Do they go into the Swamp, the number 5 Tigers, and beat Florida?
Yeah. I think this LSU team's really good.
You think LSU's that good?
I think they're good enough to go into Florida and win.
I mean, Florida by a field goal.
Okay. Do you know the line?
I do not
You like to do this to me on Friday, so I'm going to do it to you right now. Guess the line.
LSU minus 3.5.
You're close. LSU minus 2.5. But you have Florida by a field goal?
Yeah, and I don't think the over-unders are out yet.
On ESPN they are.
For Florida, LSU down in the Swamp, number 5 versus number 23.
22.
Over-unders 48.
43.5.
Yeah, I could see that. LSU runs the ball a lot. You got that quarterback from Ohio State. I don't think he's an elite passer. But sometimes Florida's kind of iffy. They're better with Dan Mullen than they have been for the last, since Urban Meyer left. They haven't really been perfect. But was it 2 years ago they stopped LSU at the goal line in Florida?
Yeah.
This is a heated rivalry, whether people see it or not. Florida and LSU do not like each other. I'm taking the Gators.
It's an interesting pick.
By a field goal late in the game. Felipe Franks has a big game.
You don't think, I guess it wouldn't make as much sense. I was going to say, do you think after last week, the emotional game for the coach, do you think they kind of come out flat? What do you think?
No, I think that kind of built them up because Florida knew what kind of emotion Mississippi State was going to have.
Yeah.
They have to get better. They have to put up points, though.
Okay. That'll be an interesting one.
Hey, I'm rarely wrong, Logan. I'm wrong all the time. But anyways, Texas A&M and Kentucky.
You already know who I'm taking, so you go. You make your case.
You really think that Kentucky's going to go in and beat one of the elite coaches in college football? Texas A&M went to Tuscaloosa and matched up well with Alabama physically.
Okay.
They held their own with Alabama.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you're saying. But a couple weeks ago, when Kentucky started winning, I said I'm on the Kentucky bandwagon, and I'm going to stick by that, and I'm picking Kentucky. I'm going to. What do you think the line is?
Texas A&M -5.
-6.
Yeah, see, I mean, Vegas has no respect for Kentucky.
Vegas doesn't know anything. What does Vegas know?
They know everything.
Yeah. What do you think the over-under is?
47.
50.5.
Yeah, not a lot of, Texas A&M defense isn't, they have a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
But Jimbo Fisher's got that offensive guy. I think Kellen Mond, they're going to destroy Kentucky Saturday.
Well, I will be ready for your public apology on Monday.
I apologized once. I'm not apologizing to Kentucky anymore. No, the college football analysts really don't have any respect for them. They're 5-0.
Yep.
They're surprised so far. This has happened with Mark Stoops before. Everyone has seen the script. We're in the first paragraph, but we know the close. Okay, and the close is Kentucky finishes 8-4. They go to a random bowl. Good on them, and they'll win 4 games next year. That's how Kentucky operates.
Do you want to give me a final score prediction since you?
For instance, Texas A&M, Kentucky.
Yeah.
What time do they kick off?
They kick off at 6.
A night game in College Station.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is gonna get so bad. 45-14.
Okay. Better put some money on that if you're so sure. But
I'm not. I don't. As Robert says, I really don't like betting on college sport. I don't bet at all. I do. You know, the show I do with Chris and this show, I think it's fun to see the lines.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't end up that way, and it's fun. But betting on college athletics, I don't get behind that. But it is fun to talk about it.
For sure. Okay. Next game, Stanford, number 14, Stanford at Utah.
Stanford at Utah.
Yes. There's no line. There's no over-under. What are you feeling here?
I'd say Stanford probably wins the game. Utah is not that great.
Do you think Stanford kind of just handles it no problem? Or do you think Utah's going to give them some fits?
I think it'll be close, but I think Stanford Bryce Love will run a lot Saturday. I think they win by probably 10 points.
Okay. I mean, if Vegas doesn't have a line, we kind of talked about it's fun to talk about this. It's kind of weird if Vegas doesn't have anything out there. That means they have no idea. So it'll be interesting to see.
So there's no line at all for Stanford,
nothing.
Utah? I would probably give Stanford probably 3 points.
Yeah, just because they're at home.
Oh, it's at Stanford?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. For some reason, I thought it was in Utah. Yeah, I'd probably give Stanford 5 points at home.
Okay.
Now, we've talked about some of the best environments in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford probably has one of the worst.
Yeah.
I think they just now started school out in Palo Alto because they are way behind where we are in the Midwest. They don't.
Yeah.
They're on a weird schedule. I think they just started school. But as good as Stanford has been, they don't fill out the stadium. Not a lot of people go to the games. So it's really it's kind of a game that's hard for them to get up for. They play well at home, but no one really shows up. So I'd spot them 5 in Palo Alto.
Let me give you another game that has no line that I know you're going to want to talk about. SMU at UCF. The undefeated UCF.
I really thought UCF would be beaten by now. But their schedule is, as it was last year, awful. Or good for them. They have no strength of schedule. And who was it last week came out and said there's a path for them to make the college football playoff.
Oh.
I beg the committee to put UCF in. Please put them in.
That's my other bandwagon.
That would be a blowout. And I would love every second of it.
I know you would. Why do you like to hate on the stuff I like?
Well, because I don't have any respect for them at all. But we do have to get out of here. We will be back at Friday at 2:30 to talk about NFL's college football or fantasy football updates. But thank you for watching. Thank you for Robert Allen for coming in. I'm Reed Spencer with Logan Moser. You've been watching One-on-One on Ocean Student Radio KXUI, Suddenlink Channel 112.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cash prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect,
Achieve, succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses to help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.